Death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. There is no more devastating event for a parent than losing a child. The pain and grief are indescribable, often leaving families shattered in shock and unable to process all the emotions that come with such a tragic event. On the morning of April 21st, 2010, baby Abigail Karow was at her daycare when she was placed down for a nap on an even flow baby Go Madison play yard. She was soon found unresponsive. Abigail was resuscitated and taken to the hospital, but after 36 hours on life support, 7-month-old Abigail passed. The owner of the daycare center told a coroner's investigator that Abby was found on her side with her head unobstructed. As a result of this claim, the coroner ruled Abby's death a case of SIDS. But the coroner was wrong, and it was later proven Abigail suffocated on an even flow mattress play yard pad. Here's Abigail's mother, Tiffany, and her father, David, remembering their precious daughter.
When I think about Abby, she was, a bubbly little baby just starting to, come into her personality.
My daughter, Abby, she changed me. I don't know, she transformed me. It was, how can a 7-month-old child teach me? And she did.
Starting to smile and laugh at us. We became suspicious about how she died or why she died. Really was because of Dave's investigation.
What made me suspicious about Abby's death was when I read the police reports. And when I read that the play yard was right in the middle of the room, not in some back room where you couldn't watch the kid. I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought this was. She was put face down on this surface that was like a plastic bag.
The change in story from the police reports was our first clue that, maybe it was more than SIDS. I had not considered that a product could, that could even be a thing, that she would have died because of the thing that she was sleeping on.
Without the help of Joe Cartoni and his firm, and I spent hours on the phone with Josh Henderson. These people worked tirelessly for years.
The lawyers, Joe Cartoni and Josh, both Joshes, all of the staff at the Cartoni law firm, they were amazing.
And if they hadn't done this would all be there, nothing would have come of it, and Evenflow would have never had to come to reckon with what they did.
They gave us the answers that we needed, deeply intended.
In this insider exclusive network TV special, Justice in America, Abigail Karow's story, our news team visits with Joe Cartoni Jr., Josh Henderson of Cartoni, Henderson, and Markowitz, and their clients David and Tiffany Carroll, Abigail's mother and father, on location in Menlo Park, California, to discuss how a jury awarded Abigail's parents a verdict for $8 million, which was appealed, but ultimately settled for $9 million. And more importantly, to discuss how this was the very first case ever finding a play yard mattress was defective due to causing asphyxiation based upon having a cover that could form a pocket around the baby's mouth. Furthermore, how this case exposed a critical failing in infant sleep safety. Although there are a variety of industry standards for play yards, none of them address this critical aspect of safety. Millions of parents rely upon play yards, assuming they are safe for sleeping, that they have been tested and they must adhere to strict safety regulations. But currently, there is no law regulating a mattress's breathability. That is why David and Tiffany have become staunch advocates for change to protect infants. Joe Cartoni Jr., Josh Henderson are no strangers to challenging cases. They have earned reputations as unyielding trial lawyers who repeatedly represent individuals and families and repeatedly win. Their amazing courtroom skills and headline-grabbing success rate continue to provide their clients with the results they need and the results they deserve. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from San Francisco Bay Area. It is my great pleasure to introduce today Joe Cartoni and Josh Anderson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh, tell us a little bit about your firm. What type of law do you practice?
Well, we focus in on personal injury, wrongful death cases. We also do some other complex litigation.
And today we are here on a groundbreaking case, which is a case against Evenflow. Joe, tell our audience a little bit about who your clients are, who will appear on our show in a minute.
They're tremendously sweet people.
David and Tiffany.
David and Tiffany Karow, proud parents of just the most beautiful little girl by the name of Abigail. Just cutest pictures. You can't exaggerate how darling this baby was.
Tell our audience a little bit about why this case exists at all.
Well, you know, the facts are horrible where baby Abigail died while at a daycare center. When the case came in, we noticed some inconsistencies in the police report and the coroner's report that called into question how the baby was found. And following the framework that Joe has had for all of our cases, we immediately started to investigate, including taking an interview of the daycare center assistant. And we found out that the inconsistencies were what we thought, and that the baby was found face down. Joe wanted to start looking at the product, and that's exactly what we started to do. And once we started that investigation, we realized that we may have a kind of first of its kind case that involved a baby death using this type of product.
And I want to bring up this, I think you mentioned this, it happened at a daycare center. Daycare centers often don't look after the children there as a parent would. And the interesting thing, which I learned about in this case, is oftentimes a daycare center, in order for the baby to sleep, they'll put the baby on its stomach, you know. And this is the reason we have this problem today, because of a product that was manufactured by Evenflow called a Playard. Is that right?
Playard, the mattress. You know, the fact is that darn near any mattress out there is beneath the standard and quality that it should be. Because sure, babies are supposed to be put on their backs, and we learn that. But the fact is that every baby turns over for the first time. Babies turn over. You put them on its back, the baby's going to roll over, whether it's the daycare center or mommy and daddy watching them. Baby turns over, and the baby's going to be breathing into that mattress. That baby can die that day.
Right, and the reason they'll die is because that particular mattress is a billowy mattress, isn't it? And it sucks in, you know, kind of the pillow. That's why you don't put blankets and various other things in a baby's crib, because they can suffocate like that. You know, and in this particular case, when you were talking about the autopsy, initially it was ruled as a SID case, correct? Sudden infant death case. But it must have been difficult to go back and have that change. How'd you do that, Joe?
What we found out is that SID deaths are greatly exaggerated in the United States. There's a tremendous amount of deaths that are occurring because the baby is sleeping in such a way that the baby can't breathe. Everybody, when a baby's death happens, you pick the baby up immediately. So there's always an argument as to how the baby was found. And if somebody at the daycare center knows doggone well that baby should be found on its back, so they're never going to say they find the baby on its front. It's very difficult to find a situation where it does that, when in fact an awful lot of them are on their stomachs. There's no pictures of the babies lying down. It's only going to be oral testimony by the person who was in charge of keeping that baby safe. And that person who's supposed to keep them safe knows that baby is supposed to be on its back. So the likelihood of that person admitting that the baby was found on its front is very low, very low. And that's why some of the top people that know SIDS and have been studying SIDS for 20 years feel that SIDS is exaggerated. You cannot tell a SIDS death from an asphyxiation death. The autopsy looks exactly the same. If a baby's asphyxiated by a mattress, by a toy, by anything, it's going to look the same in autopsy as a SIDS. So nobody knows what it really is. Therefore, you're going to have a tremendous exaggeration of the amount of SIDS deaths. That's true. And we don't regulate these mattresses at all.
And that brings up another point, because when you sued Evenflow, What was their line of defense?
Well, their line of defense is that they build these play yards up to the regulations and safety codes that is promulgated by the ASTM.
So therefore, because they build it up to their safety codes, they're not at fault, correct?
That's right, that it's safe. But what they miss in presenting that argument is the fact that that regulation doesn't even address this risk. What we found out, though, that Evenflow knew about the risk because their own internal documents showed that they had identified this risk, and then they created a test to test for it. But as we went through this litigation, we found out that test was a sham.
Yeah, now you bring up a very interesting point about this case, because the judge eventually ruled you had a very difficult time getting results of that test, how they did it, correct? Tell our audience exactly what test did they conduct.
Mr. Henderson did a job on discovery in this case that I put against any job of discovery I've ever seen done in my entire career. Fighting with Evenflow to get the test, to get the not only the test, but to get the dummy that they said that they used to do it with. Well, show me the dummy. And he got it. And what was it, Josh?
It was a faceless ragdoll.
And interestingly enough, the dummy does not have a mouth or a face.
No nose.
Right. Real concern, obviously, when you're testing for breathability. But in addition to that, their person most knowledgeable on the test told us before we had access to the doll that the test was a pass-fail that required covering of the nose and mouth. And when you look at the picture of it, you can clearly see why they never failed that test.
Right. I'm just astonished at, and when I look at the line of defense that they had, number one, that Abigail died of SIDS. Okay. Not suffocation. Number two, that there had been no other deaths caused by the play yard. Is that true?
So that was also untrue. So during discovery, we asked for other incidents, and they told us there was no such thing that existed. Only through our making a request, a FOIA request, Freedom of Information request, did we find information regarding other incidents. And in that was a incident that happened out in Michigan that was pretty much exactly what we had here. And without that, we would have been blocked, and it would have been true at the time that this was in trial that there were no other incidents, because we were relying on them to be honest about it.
Now, you eventually got an $8 million verdict, correct?
That is correct.
Evenflow appealed it.
Well, through the appellate process, we argued that we had the evidence come in through our medical experts that this play yard mattress pad caused the death of baby Abigail, and the appellate court agreed. So we were remanded on another issue, which was relative to any potential liability of the daycare center, and they realized that during that period of the litigation that the daycare center was not going to receive much fault, because the simple fact is these play yards are built for you to leave the baby unsupervised. That's what they're built for. And when that happens, babies roll over. Abigail was of an age where she could roll over. So we ended up settling the case for actually $9 million.
Yeah, why did you end up settling it for more than the verdict?
Yeah, because we gave him a break. We should have got a heck of a lot more even. I'll tell you, what's not appreciated is even by people that when you bring a case, or when you're going to play this to people, people are going to think that that's not true. These products aren't killing babies. It's not possible. I'm telling you it is. These products that babies are sleeping on are killing babies because there is no test at all out there. There's no governmental regulation. There's no standard within the industry. There's nothing on breathability. Nothing on breathability.
Even today?
Absolutely today. You go down, we tested so many products, mattresses across the board, something like 45 of them. The ones that were breathable were 3 or 4 or 5 out of 45. I'm talking the big product manufacturers. I'm talking the ones that, they must do a good job. They don't. They're not breathable. And if the baby dies, everybody blames it on anything but SIDS. There was a blanket in there. The baby must have rolled over and died on that. All sorts of things they can blame it on, other than what's really doing it. The mattress today, your baby, if you've got a baby, that baby's likely sleeping on a mattress that's not breathable. That baby turns over onto that mattress, that baby can die, because the baby, when it's just starting to turn over, doesn't know how to turn over again. and it's induced to sleep by breathing in what it's just breathed out. That's what's going on right now. And that's happening in every mattress right now. The vast majority of the mattresses and play yards that babies are in today. I swear it, today.
I just want to emphasize, despite the fact that you were paid $9 million, your clients, right? This player is still on the market.
Absolutely.
Not modified at all.
Nope.
So I just want to emphasize, today that mattress is still on the market. You can still buy it. And there are parents that are using it that don't know about this case, and there may be dire consequences as a result of using it, right?
Correct. But it's not just that mattress, I swear it. It's virtually across the board. Because, you see, you want to make the mattress easy to clean. They want, because babies pee in the mattress. So they make it easy to clean, but that mattress that they're making easy to clean is also non-breathable. And there's millions and millions of those out there. And we're not counting the deaths appropriately because we're blaming SIDS. And SIDS, we know for 20 years that we can't tell the difference between SIDS and asphyxiation, yet the mattress doesn't allow breathing.
You know, in all of these cases, they're heartbreaking cases. Someone died. Someone precious cannot be replaced. How do you handle these cases? How do you deal with your clients? Because they're devastated. How do you handle them?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that an awful lot of people, they don't even to a large degree want to be able to accept that it can be this dangerous for their child. They want to accept that it was SIDS. They really want to accept that it's SIDS, and it's not. And so you have to be compassionate and loving and understanding where they're coming from, because, and we can't. Nobody who has I've never lost a baby, and I don't think anybody who hasn't lost a baby can understand what it's like to lose a baby. So you just have to understand what they're going through, and carefully and sympathetically let them know that they're not the cause of their baby's death. There's a product that's involved, and this product is not regulated in the United States of America. That's not breathable, and it should be. It's very easy to make things breathable. We do it on all sorts of clothing. We do it on everything all over the place that you can still clean. Still, these mattress pads are not breathable. And when the baby rolls over and is not strong enough to roll back, you got a dead baby.
Fortunately, today we have your clients with us, David and Tiffany Carroll, so we're going to bring them on right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce David and Tiffany Carroll to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been through hell and back with the passing of your daughter, and then learning how the justice system works.
Slowly.
Yeah, slowly.
And not only that, but let's face it, the people you sue are not interested in getting to the truth, are they?
No, that's pretty clear.
Yeah. What they try to do, as even in this case, they try to blame somebody else. It's the blame game, right? Take us back to the day that you first learned that your daughter had this incident. When were you know? You were in London, I think.
I was actually in Berlin, but Tiffany had the more direct.
I'm a teacher, high school teacher, and so it was the middle of testing time, like the standardized tests, and got a phone call from the daycare provider that Abby was not responding, and yeah, it was horrible. It was the worst. Every parent's nightmare.
Yeah, and then obviously the daycare center said that she was, she went down for a nap and she didn't wake up and she wasn't responding, and they had called 911 and on the way to the hospital. And in the course of this litigation, you discovered that the people at the daycare center had lied about what really had happened, right? What was your feelings when you found out that they had lied about how Abby had passed?
I mean, I think that was later, so we didn't really know. And it was really Dave, reading the reports and just seeing little pieces of difference in story.
The lying, I think, was out of fear or to protect, the story trying to spin a story which would be least threatening to everybody as opposed to getting to the bottom of what really happened.
There's a lot of children, unfortunately, that pass away early in their life from SIDS. What made you decide that this was not this case, that something was awry?
Well, we both started trying to learn more about what SIDS was, and there's risk factors, and Abby didn't really check many of the risk factors.
Any kind of research that you read or you look up about who dies from SIDS or what are the quote-unquote causes, even though there isn't really a cause, none of that pertained.
Didn't fit.
Yeah, for both of you.
Yeah, and then I read the police report, and that was really the thing that cracked it open for me. Is I finally went and got the police report, and it said that she was face down, and
The opposite of what the daycare center said.
correct. But in the moment when it really happened, they actually told the truth. But after the fact, they changed the story.
So if the daycare center was sitting here right now, if Evenflow was sitting in my chair, what would you say to Evenflow? Despite the fact that you won the case, what would you say to them? Because the players are still on the market. People are.
I feel like the daycare provider did what any person would do, really. Like, I think that putting your kid down for a nap on its side, on the stomach, it's not a crime. Like, that's not, babies turn over. Like, she was old enough to turn over anyway. So I don't know that I would, want to yell and scream at her more than we all trusted that the baby was going down on a product that we knew the name, like Evenflow. It's fine. Like, that was the last thought for me. Like, I had no idea that you wouldn't trust a product. And what I would say to Evenflow is, like, you should feel ashamed that you're selling things to people who trust you, and that we trust you because of your name, and you don't care ultimately about the products that you're making, other than who's going to buy them and how much money, what's the bottom line. And I feel like that is despicable.
Right. In any case, it is the law firm that represents you, that does all the investigation, et cetera. What do you think about the job that they did? Because this is the very first case that Evenflow lost as a result of making an unsafe product.
We were super fortunate to find Joe because I actually went looking and I talked to a couple other firms that weren't really interested, and Joe immediately took interest and then fought like multi-year battle, like against the odds. These guys tried everything they could to make it hard, and they picked the wrong firm to mess with. They were hoping they could sort of delay and make it cost too much, and Joe was in it for the long term, and he wasn't going to turn around and say this is just taking too long. And so we feel super fortunate.
Yeah.
And even when every little thing they tried, he just hung in there.
And the amount of work that Josh
Henderson.
I mean, well, seriously, like, you don't really realize how much work and time and energy goes into any kind of a case, but like the amount of research and back and forth and waiting and details, like it's incredible that the work that they have done is really.
Well, you guys are lucky and found the right firm, and I want to thank you both for being on the show.
And I will say on camera, because Joe will want me to, that I did not believe, and now I am a believer in the law and the law firm and the process. I was not a believer. I was skeptical, and I was like, this is crazy. And, he changed everything, like, I think.
Well, I want to thank both of you for being on the show, and again, my condolences.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask both of you. A lot of people know of your success. You won some remarkable cases. This case was the very first case that you beat Evenflow, right?
That's correct.
And it's a landmark case. A lot of people need to know it. That's why we're here. My question is, since a lot of people know who you are, where you are, they contact you, how do you, I'll ask you first, Josh, how do you determine the types of clients you finally end up representing?
Well, you have to listen to the facts, and you have to hear about what happened, and you have to start your investigation. Because one of the most important things about this particular case is really educating the public in general about what's happening, because so many of these cases are misdiagnosed. And this is, I'm not just talking about the public in general, I'm talking about the professionals that are involved, like the coroners. If coroners understand that this is a potential hazard that could have caused the death, you might not have these kind of diagnoses where you have a SIDS result. And they might actually identify, like they did in our case that we found in Michigan, where they said it was positional asphyxiation. So the most important thing is to look at the facts, start your investigation early, and let the facts lead you as far as your guiding light.
And you probably follow the same kind of guidelines, don't you?
Yeah, you look closely at the evidence, but understand that the evidence is going to be upside down in these types of cases. You know, and you got to jump on the evidence as quickly as possible. I have a tragic case down in San Diego of a dead baby where the police just never took custody of the mattress pad. They did their investigation and stuff like that. Don't take custody of the mattress pad, and the mattress pad is gone. So you can't test it. You can't prove that that was the product that killed. The coroners, the police, people don't understand that these mattress pads are killing babies, and they are. They just don't understand. You have to get to a real sophisticated level of the expertise in this area to find people who understand. Yeah, mattress pads are very likely killing lots of babies.
Well, I want to thank you for the work you do. I want to thank you for being on this show. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.